So now I will ask Jean-Luc Beylat, Vice President of Ecosystems from Nokia, to hold his keynote. Thank you.
Thank you, Xavier. So good morning, everyone. Good morning for people online. So I'm very happy to be here. First for the CELTIC event, which is in fact a very critical organization we have in Europe, focused on network at large. And as you know, and all people here, that network, digital infrastructure are very critical for the future. And we need really to manage this in Europe. We have really good asset. So we don't have a good asset in all technologies, but we have a good asset. So I'm really happy to participate. And I'm also very happy to be here in BPI. I know this room. It's for people online, we don't know, but we are in the center of Paris. And this BPI, the hub, is a place where I organize a lot of connection points between the different players, SMEs, big companies, startups, etc. So it's good that we are here today. And the other reason is for me, for motivation, that I have a lot of things to share with you. And the first one is our new logo. So it's maybe a minor point for you, but for us, it's a big change. We don't change too many times the logo in the company. And for Nokia, last time was 50 years ago, so it's a long process. But I will explain why we change the logo, and it's not only a new letter, new color, etc., but there are also a philosophy behind this new logo, and I will try to share this with you. And the new logo was launched, in fact, in Barcelona during the Mobile World Congress end of February. And we had fantastic booths in Barcelona in the Mobile World Congress. The booths are very big. And this year we had a fantastic booth with all the new logo. And it was one other top information for Barcelona, but the new logo from Nokia was one of this top information from Barcelona. So why? In fact, we want really to change the perception of the company of Nokia. What is behind this change of logo? First, we want really to be committed on specific item. First, we believe in the sustainable business growth. So we all know that we have a big challenge, climate challenge, and it's not easy. If we could talk about energy, we could change the way we live, etc., etc. But we believe that with the digital infrastructure, we have to take care first of the power energy of the digital infrastructure, but we could use this digital infrastructure to optimize everything in order to reduce the climate impact. For example, for the mobility, for the home working. Now today, due to the COVID, people work more at home, but we save a lot of power consumption with this. And there are a lot of segments where digital infrastructure, digitalization could be a very good tool to develop a business sustainable. We believe also that there are more productivity in industry to achieve. We did a lot in the last 20, 30 years, but the reality is that we have still a lot of potential. We produce more data, we could learn more from this data, and the recent achievements that we have seen with ChatGPT, GPT-4, etc., show that with AI, each day there are new opportunity, etc. And in reality, productivity is driven by the knowledge and the intelligence we put in the process. So we need to learn for this, we need to collect data, to analyze, and there is a loop of optimization, and it's where we see a lot of optimization for productivity in industry. And the last driver, but it's still important, for our society, we need to include people. We still have people isolated from the digital connection. So it's also what we want to do. And basically, so there is a sentence, what we want to do in Nokia is to create the technology for that helps the world act together. And so for the new logo, Today, we are delivering network for operator. And I will share with you the figure after. It's a big, big business. But what we will do tomorrow and what we want to show with the logo is, first, we will continue to do that, but we will focus on the performance in order really to have up-to-date network configuration, optimized for new services for the operator, and it's a clear driver for us. We want also to provide solutions which are able to be scalable. This is critical in communication and in digital platform, the scalability. If you have isolate platform, etc., you could have a nice application, but if you are not able to scale, and it's a challenge, you will lose, in fact, all the potential. And what we think, and also I will focus on this after, is the collaborative advantage. Nobody, whatever the size of the company, could address the challenge that we have to face tomorrow. Nobody. And even we will see in 10 years, etc., a lot of change for the big company. So working by partnership on collaborative way, it's mandatory. It's also what is behind this new logo. In fact, the former one was blue, a little close. This one, you will see there are a lot of color we could use, etc. And it's just to illustrate the collaboration. And it's a good place to talk about this collaboration in CELTIC, because the nature of CELTIC is to develop a collaborative R&D project, and we strongly believe in this on this topic. So why we want really to create new opportunity with customer? Because we have some asset. So today in communication, we have 7 billion subscriptions supported inside our mobile network. 95% of the global traffic is going through our submarine cable around the world. And we have more than 500 million connections for broadband line, fiber, etc. So we have, and everywhere in the world. So there is a strong asset for the access, the management of the data, and it's a key element for the future, for the new solution. We are also strongly involved recently for the acceleration of the digital transformation. All the new business are digitalized differently. If you address in the hospital, a new industry, etc., they are using the digital infrastructure in different way. And so we have a lot of mission critical customer. We are developing more and more private, what we call private wireless customer. And in fact, it's the way it's organized is in different way in the world. But basically, is the idea to have, like you have your IT for your company, you have your network for the company, and you optimize all the services, all the etc. with this private wireless segment. And for the industry of tomorrow is mandatory. You could have a lot of IoT, collect the data, and define your connectivity according to your new service, etc. This is what we call private wireless. And obviously, as I said, we have to work with other people. So on the network, if you simplify, we have the hardware line, the network management, and on the top you have a lot of application and what we call hyperscaler. And all people are moving in different way. At the network level, we are moving to the application, and the application, they are also working with the network functionality. So it's there is a new way to manage the cloud. In fact, we are moving the processing in the cloud in the different place, using differently the latency, etc. So there is a strong interaction with people like Amazon, Microsoft, etc. And it's a key challenge also for the future. And in Nokia, so we are lucky because we have the Bell Labs organization, a leading organization in research, and we are creating a lot of patents. So we have 20,000 patent family. I will show you after what is exactly the business of the patent. But here I would like to focus on the fact that we patent, we create standard. And in the telecommunication world, we have very strong standard. If you move in the world, in US, in China, etc., you are using the same standard. It's not the same case for electricity connection when you have to put in your bag a lot of adapter in telecommunication. So, and it's very powerful. But behind this, the magic is that people are sharing patent to develop the standard, etc. So we are really working, and we want to continue in this direction. So today we are deploying 5G networks. Tomorrow we will talk about 5G Advanced in 26, 27, and we will go to 6G. But the philosophy is still the same, sharing, working on the standard, sharing the patent, etc., in order to have a global technology. So a few words about what is Nokia today. In fact, it's not anymore the phone, so forget this. It's really about digital infrastructure. And we have 4 business groups. One called network infrastructure, addressing IP network, fixed network, so fiber at home, optical network, so all the connectivity inside the core and the metro network are using fiber, and submarine network, managing, as I said, 95% of the data traffic. And this activity is a very strong one in Nokia, delivering in 22 9 billion euro of revenue. The second business group, it's mobile network. So here it's easy to understand. Radio access, microwave radio, and all management linked to this mobile network. This part is growing, and with the growth of 5G, taking more and more market share. And last year we achieved more than close to 11 billion euro in terms of revenue. So the third one, cloud and network services. So it's more new. It's not new exactly in terms of activity, but new in terms of orientation. So it's a connection with the cloud, how to implement new services inside the network. So it's for business application, it's for core network, it's for new cognitive services, etc. And also it's about private access networks, what I was talking before. And this part is growing and above 3 billion euro. And the last part is what we call Nokia Tech. And Nokia Tech is where we have a business group only focused on the patent creation, the patent licensing, the brand, etc., etc. And they have a 1.6 billion euro revenue in 22. But for the patent, we need to invest a lot in the research. So in fact, inside Nokia, during 5 years, we invest 21 billion euros. So it's a huge contribution for us. When I say investment in R&D, it's at the research level, but also at the product level. And at the research level, we have the Bell Labs organization is now split in 2 parts, Bell Labs Core and Bell Labs Solution. And Bell Labs Core, the simplification is more complex than that because it's Bell Labs, but to simplify, Bell Labs Core people are doing research on fundamental topics to provide disruption and a new product for the business group already in place, so network infrastructure, mobile, etc. And Bell Labs Solution, they are working on new solution and maybe new business which are not today in Nokia. So and we could create a sort of internal venture, or we could have a spin-off, something like that. So core, it's really on the core technology of Nokia, and Bell Labs Solution is for new segment that we are looking for the future. So what we believe, and just to insist, I don't know where I'm in for the time. Okay, I'm still 10 minutes. Yeah, okay. So we strongly believe that more and more we need to collaborate and to interact with the different partners. So we structure this on different way. We create Nokia partners. I will focus on this part. But there are a lot of activity of network as a code, which is in fact the ability, if you are, I don't know, in front of your PC, your computer, you want to create a service, you don't have network access, so you create all the functionality on the network that you need for your services. So it's a new approach, and so it's a collaborative approach. And we want to continue to develop interoperability in standard. For Nokia partners, and it's the key point for CELTIC today, we will organize, in fact, we are not partnering on the same way according where we are in the market. So we understand that there are 3 parts. The first one is discover, when really, and basically it's a part of the CELTIC area, so we don't know exactly the structuration of the market and what we could do, but there are a lot of things to do at the R&D level, and the first part is really to accelerate time for innovation. The second one is called build. In fact, it's more collaboration at the product level when there is technologies that we could add in the product or functionality, etc. And the last one is really the go-to-market. When there are packaged solutions, we need to go collectively with a different part. And by the way, in this process, you could have competitor one day and partners the other day. So it's really a new approach for the partnership. And we launched this approach. We will develop more in the future, and we will probably talk more about this in the coming months. Now, I would like to focus on the key point of my presentation about the strategy, our vision for the future. And so it's a long presentation, so I have only 10 minutes, so I will try to focus on the key point. But first, things that we observe, the trends. And the first one, there is a strong pressure on the planet is increasing, so not needed to come back on this. And this will continue to impact our life, to change our way to travel, to change our way to organize a professional life, etc., etc. And we will have more and more and more in the time, and we need really to consider this one. There is a point about the productivity, I already talked about that, and the point about inclusivity. So it's the key challenge we want to address. And the other trends, which are more socio-economical and geopolitical, so it's where we could talk a lot, but I will just summarize. First point, there is a big trend for deglobalization, and it was not expected 3-4 years ago. And we have moved during 20 years in a big globalization, considering the planet as a big supermarket, but now the trends are differently. And we see, specifically in US, in China, but also in Europe, a big program about sovereignty, etc. So it's a big change because it's not only to manage key technology, but it's change all the supply chain. So there are a lot of impact of this deglobalization. More political pressure to define specifically innovation at the state level, at the Europe level, and is also an important trend that will structure the network of tomorrow. Obviously, cybersecurity. We open a lot the network. There are a lot of connectivity, and obviously this creates weaknesses in the network, so we need to address that, knowing in the same time that cybersecurity are strongly driven by the knowledge on AI, on data, and we could be also, in terms of threats, very powerful. So the progress of the technology is on the two sides. So it's the key element. And sustainability, which is a point linked to the carbon impact, etc., etc. On the other side, there is a user needs, which are asking something differently. First, they are now asking everything digital. They are looking for everything. There is a new thing. They are looking for the digital version. They need to be more involved, so they need to live involved experience, and they need to have a service optimized connectivity. They don't want to pay a lot for small services, so they need to have a link between the value of the service and the cost of the network. So it's a very important. And the last part, which is also driven by the consumer side, it's new purchasing priorities, managing this with the different services, etc. So there are a lot of trends behind this. So this is explain what are the trends on the technology. We see 3 segments. First one is the cloud. So we know very well the cloud with AI, ML components, the network, 5G, tomorrow 6G, and XR components. So it's what we have on the cloud. We have the Web3, where in addition there is all technology driven by the blockchain, and this Web3 segment will interact with the cloud with a common point, which is around artificial intelligence. And globally, we will have also what we call the metaverse. And I will focus here on the metaverse because there are a lot of confusion, because what we see from Nokia point of view, it's 3 metaverse parts. First one, the driver behind this is human augmentation. I have glass, it's a sort of augmentation. And we will see in the future more and more augmentation. We have already battery for your art, if you want, etc. So we expect more and more augmentation, virtual reality with a new specific glass, haptic-enabled remote control, up to later, in 5-10 years, connected biomedical implant, skeletons, etc., etc. So we will see more and more this in the future. And close to that is another trend, is digital physical fusion. We know already the twins, the digital twins. You have a car, there is a digital version. But tomorrow we will have real-time digital twins. So it means that you change something in the car is already visible in the digital version. And if you duplicate the car inside the city, so you have a full view of the traffic, you could optimize on the digital side what is the case in the physical world. And this opens a lot of application. And this will be needed if we want to increase security, if you want to reduce the carbon impact, etc., etc. You need to have sort of loop of optimization. And it's where we see different segments for the consumer, for the metaverse. There is a first consumer metaverse, pushed by Meta, for example, which is really gaming, etc., etc. And the takeoff is slow on this part, but for sure, there is a segment expected here for using glasses for games or entertainment, etc. There is enterprise metaverse, which is really IT-driven. So we will see more and more component of your IT services linked with a network in order to optimize the enterprise services. So I don't have the time to loop on this, but it's something which is already a reality, but growing more and more in the future, taking all the technology of the Web3, cloud, etc. So it's an important point. And the last one, which is really big in terms of market, is industrial metaverse. Is a step after the Industry 4.0, where we will have IoT everywhere. We will have a collection of data. You will have low latency, allowing processing at the edge of the network, and really optimization of. And when we talk about industrial, it's not only the factory, but it's a city, it's the hospital, it's a port, it's applicable everywhere. So this segment are huge. I don't say that it's for tomorrow morning. It's a plan for the coming years. But this transformation are for sure the strategy we want to address. And for this, so now we have a discussion about the application. So we come back at the network level. This means that at the network level, we need to improve the network performance. So it's what we will do, moving from the 5G to 5G Advanced and 6G. Optimizing, obviously, the throughput. Since years, we need to increase the throughput. There are more and more data, etc. So we reach up to 1 gigabyte in the radio part, which is very impressive value. 1 gigabyte in the fiber was done 20 years ago, but in the fiber, everything is focused. So in radio, so it's very impressive. Obviously, optimization of the network energy efficiency at the component level, reducing the size of the component, using AI to optimize the power consumption. There are a lot of opportunity to optimize power consumption inside the network. Localization for indoor application. So now we are talking about few centimeters. So for indoor, in the former technology, it was few meters. It was okay for advertising, etc. But few centimeters, you could really optimize. You could guide blind people. You could do really a lot of application. Low latency, obviously. If you reduce the latency, you will have a real-time application. And come back on the real-time twin, which is really an important segment. And connectivity density, which is linked with the number of sensors you will have in the network, etc., etc. So a lot of improvement, even if the network today looks very power efficient, there are a lot of opportunity to continue to improve what we could do with the network. And linked to that, there are different requirements. If we are talking about solutions which are driven by government, they will ask more about security and consumability. But if you are talking about operator application, they will ask time to market. So there is a sort of geometry of application. You could see the color here, but I need to conclude, I think so. And maybe it will be my last slide. Okay. And so we had the discussion about the figure, and now just to focus on different capabilities for this new network, we will have intent-based autonomy. This means that you could ask at the service level what you are expected from the network, not using too much resource, really focusing, asking for specific application-driven data, etc. Optimizing also application when you have a digital twin for symmetrical capacity, sustainability. I already addressed this point. The ability to implement new services on the flexible, to duplicate these services by distribution. So it's what we are expecting also from the network. And in fact, there is no number inside the cloud, because it's 5G, 6G, but in the 6G, what we see as a 6G, it's in fact a sensing network, a network which is able really to be connected with all of sensor, to know where you are and optimize the application about you, about your device, etc. So it is really very performing in terms of application. Is not only talking, is not only video, but it's more than that, and it's very, very powerful. Linked to that, performance, resilience, and agility, mandatory for the evolution of the network. Industry-specific optimization. All the new industry will be first digital, first focus on the network capability, like it is for the IT today on materials, etc. But there is no future for industry tomorrow without the connection with the digital world. Everything will be optimized, including what you have to do in the physical world. We'll have an optimization in the digital segment, so it's a key element for us. And security, still a hot topics, and will be more and more hot topics in the future, and obviously the accessibility and the ubiquity. So it was in limited time, but I think that I cover all the challenge we see for the network, all the new trends, and the reason why we change the logo, and we want really to produce and to deliver network with high performance, connectivity, and sustainable. We want, and it could be, and it's not a marketing position, we want to opening the network for innovation. We want to interact with others. We know that for the new services, this new industry segment, it's something to achieve collectively. And so, and it's the reason why also at the software level for a lot of topics, you will see a lot of open door to facilitate this connectivity with the ecosystem. And it's something that we will develop in the future for collaboration and the security. So thank you for your attention, and again, our new logo.
Thanks a lot, Jean-Luc. We have time for one or two questions, of course.
Hello, thank you for a very inspiring talk. I have two questions. One is about optimization. You mentioned that we will need to optimize networks in a different way. Not, you know, it will bring us new challenges that the new 6G or like future vision. So what is it exactly? What will change about optimization?
For the optimization of the network?
Yes.
Because we will use the network for different applications. So I did not have the time to go deeply for each segment. I try to deliver the full picture. But really today we will structure all the industry and the service with a connection with the network, with digital infrastructure, connection with the new services, AI everywhere, etc. So, and in this case, we need really to reduce the latency, to optimize the security, and to have also an open approach with a different partner. So it's really the philosophy of this evolution of the network. So it's a big trend, in fact, because we think that all the industry will be impacted by the evolution of the digital infrastructure. Today we have AI, the cloud, etc., the capacity. So it's not only, we are not talking anymore for network for a smartphone to check Netflix in public transportation or something like that, video traffic, which is still high, but really to use the network for all the application and be a part of this transformation with real-time twin, etc. So it's and for this we will have new requirements, and we will have also it's mandatory to have an open approach, collaborative way, etc. So we could not be a silo or close the process.
Thank you. Yeah, that's very interesting. The second question is linked to this one. It's about, you mentioned also that the way we apply networks will be very different.
Network as code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, can you elaborate a little more on this?
Yeah. So network as code is in fact, you have a need as a consumer or whatever, and I don't know, you want to create, for example, you want to create a service of delivery for the food. It's not very innovative because there are a lot of people, but and in this case, you could define in the network some sensor. You could define your network. You define your what you need, and the network will be available for you. In fact, and today is not possible. Today you need to interact with an operator, you need to install the functionality in the network, you need to ask in advance, etc. So the whole process, which is, and so networks as code will provide in the future network functionality, but driven by your service configuration, and paying with the ability to pay only for that, and optimize also for your service. So, and this is a link between network and cloud application. So there are a lot of people working on this, but we think that we could provide a lot in this segment because we know what is in the network. So we are working with our partner also for this. Networks as code is a good example of a collaborative approach for new services.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any other question?
Thank you. Right, Pascal Cho from Library University, UK. Very interesting talk, thank you. Just quick question on the energy efficiency footprint, energy footprint side of things. So what do you think we can do in the network to reduce energy footprint? Because if you say for servers, if we don't use them, we can shut them down to save energy, but in the network, we can't shut down the routers, switches. So what can we do to save energy from the network's point of view?
Okay, good question, because there are a lot of information sometimes which are not very correct on this. First, and I'm a provocative guy, so first networks are very efficient. You need to know that, because we say that IT at large impact at 3, 4, 5% in terms of carbon, but the reality, when we say that, it's a TV screen, it's a smartphone, etc. But the network itself is very efficient. For example, a submarine cable from Brest to New York, it's very low consumption. You have only few amplifiers, etc. So it's very. Saying that, if you look the size of the network, there is a certain level of consumption, but we know that with the growth in terms of data, throughput, etc., this will continue to increase because there is proportionality between the capacity and the power consumption. So we have to take care because the traffic will increase. Now, if we look inside the network itself, you have what I could say the fixed line, which are using fiber, where already the power consumption is very low. We have to take care maybe on the transponder part of this where we could optimize the microelectronics, so there are some work on this. Where, in fact, in the network, it's more complex is the radio part, specifically for the cellular, because if you are a cellular, you are alone in the cell, so you understand that it's not fully optimized. And if we focus the cell on you, we are losing coverage, etc. So, and this part was not really a driver for 3G, 4G. It was already a driver for 5G. So there is the 5G network are more optimized in terms of power consumption, and the new release on the 5G coming, 17, 18, from the 3GPP, will improve again this power consumption for the radio part, where I think that we could do some improvement. And to do that, there are a lot of work done on the optimization between the coverage, the capacity, the throughput, so it's quite complex. But there are also research activity driven by artificial intelligence to optimize the transmission with the knowledge of the power consumption. Because in the Shannon theory, about information theory, there is no unit talking about the power. Everything is about the throughput, etc. So the approach will be different. There is a potential. Saying that, I'm concluding on this part. Believe me, the network is already very efficient and consume very few energy according to what we could save with this. Look, for example, for the mobility, we could really optimize the traffic for very low consumption. For the home, for working, we are able to work at home using the network. You save translation, traffic translation, etc., etc. So so we believe that with the network we could improve, in fact, and provide solutions for the climate challenges.
Thank you.
Yes.
There's another question.
So,
Yeah, a quick question. You mentioned that network is going to be more aware of applications. Now, do you envisage a future that network will be more aware of the application logics of the application logic, different type of application?
Yeah, exactly.
You, for example, going into the for example, medical domain, going
Exactly.
into manufacturing domain.
And in fact, we have to know that we don't have the imagination today to anticipate what we will see tomorrow. But we will have more interaction between the application level and the network, and the ability to optimize network resource according to what we want to do at the application level will be multiplied. Today is already quite fixed, in fact. You defined, you could have access to some data in the network, but you don't have the flex because there is also different players, so it's not, you don't have a direct access. But in the future, I think that we will have really the ability to define the best usage of the network according to what you need for the application.
On the individual application level?
At the company level first, but maybe later also as a consumer. It will be maybe requiring some technical knowledge, but why not? Yes. Yeah.
One very last question, I think, that was...
Yeah, because we are...
There's a proposal from us today.
I will win back on my presentation.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the very interesting insights. You mentioned localization, and indeed in the radio access network, you're seeing a number of technologies like MIMO or massive MIMO that could actually enable that kind of positioning and precision positioning. Do you think that will be compelling services for cellular communication in, let's say, 6G or?
Yeah, in fact, it's one of the hot topics of the 5G Advanced and 6G. And obviously, it was not really required before for 5G level. But when we will have to talk about a new industry application, about new mobility services, helping disabled people, whatever, there are a lot of applications. So the requirements are more and more difficult. So we are, for 5G Advanced today, we are already talking about 10 centimeter, but for 6G, which is 6G is a research topic, so it's not a standard. But for 6G, people are looking for centimeter or sub-centimeter localization, which is, in fact, each time we increase by a factor 10, in fact, we open the application by a factor 100, 1000, so there is no limitation in terms of imagination of what we could do with a very low localization, very high resolution. It's why we are talking about sensing network, in fact, because it's really the ability, and there are a lot of potential, well, as you say, MIMO, crossing different radio systems. So I'm not a radio expert, but I know that there are, and it's still in discussion for the standard in the release 18, 19 for the 3GPP for the 5G Advanced. 10, 20 centimeter, I don't remember. But at the research level for 6G, driven in Europe with ExaX project and other project, they are talking about centimeters. So it's a risk, and you will see application on this. And this will be a big change, for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, I have to stop. Thanks a lot for your attention.
Thanks a lot.